Welcome to Real Money Talks. Real strategies from the moneymakers and the world changers that you can use to make millions, keep those millions, multiply your wealth, and build your team. Here's your host, author of 5 New York Times bestsellers, money expert on Dr. Phil, CNN, CNBC, The Street TV, Fox News, and The View, Loral Langemeier.
I'm just checking out my bucket list book. How about this? How many of you would like a bucket list book? Do you have your bucket list all put together? What are the top 10 things that you want in your life? Cool places in the world. Cool things you can do. So why did I start with this, right? I started because I think a lot of you don't have a bucket list anymore. I don't know that you ever had a bucket list. I don't know that you actually have dreams, goals, or any aspirations but living in COVID coma as an excuse to not get off the couch and move. So welcome to a new world. It's called the recession. We're in 2022, and I am on a live stream with YouTube, and I want to talk to you today about how long does it take to become wealthy? So what's interesting about that whole conversation, and it's been a huge, engagement on my channel, how long does it take? I'm going to say it's up to you. It's up to your goals, your dreams. What do you want? What are you urgent for? See, most of my clients, unfortunately, come with a crisis. My best clients have come with a crisis, unfortunately. I mean, I'll tell you my backstory, and then I'm going to tell you a bunch of client stories because I want to inspire you to get with it. I want you to wake up, get out of this coma. I call it COVID coma. It's over. The pandemic is the pandemic, right? You have a life, you have a family, you have a mission, you have something that I think you're supposed to be doing on the planet. You have gifts, you have talents, and a lot of you just sit there. And you've, become very complacent and mediocre. John DeMartini taught me probably one of his greatest lessons. You come as a master, you choose to be mediocre, and a lot of you chose to be even less than that, which means you're doing nothing to contribute to this economy, nothing to contribute to your family. You're just kind of getting by, and you're ripping off everyone sitting on your ass while we're out here providing our gifts and talents. So what is it that you can do right now? Make a list. What is it that you can do to provide service to other people? How could you help this whole economy move, make your community move, your family move? What are some big dreams and goals you have that you want to achieve? So mine started with just an inspiration at 17 years old. I got the book Think and Grow Rich. I was at a seminar. Dennis Waitley said, run to the front of the stage. I ran, got this amazing book, Think and Grow Rich, and said, interesting. I grew up in a farm in Nebraska, so I didn't learn about money. And just like most of you, you didn't learn about money either. Most of, I'd say, that era, until just recently, no one still talks about money. Like it's some evil thing to do. Money you deal with every day. 10 to 20 transactions happen a day from if you're driving somewhere, you paid for gas, you paid for a vehicle, you have insurance, you have registration, you have a phone, you have a computer, you have maybe mortgage or a rent, you have utilities, you have clothes, you have food. This is just basics. And it's money. So who's taught you about money? So I just gave you 3 big questions. What do you want? What's your gift and talent? What's your services, right? That could really serve other people, right? And then, are you willing to have this conversation about money? So when I answer the question, how long does it take to become wealthy? How much do you want it is really what I'm looking for. See, the critical moment for me, right, because I was on a path, but I'd say it was pretty casual because I was also making a lot of money. I was spending a lot of money. I was skiing. I was playing. I was hanging out. And I was 33 years old, and I got pregnant with my son, Logan. So that was a pretty urgent, critical moment that I then finally did what most of you are resisting doing, and I called another mentor. Not that I hadn't spent money on mentors. I had spent hundreds of thousands by that time on mentors. More personal development, linguistics, NLP, sales training, all those kinds of things. But I hired the one guy that was like, all right, I'm going to go for it. $25,000, and I said, it's time. Teach me real estate at the level you know it. You're a multi-millionaire. You're in many states. And he said, meet me in Oklahoma City. And I'm like, Oklahoma City? Did you just hear? Hello? Did you just hear what I said? He said, you want to learn my way? We're learning my way, not your way. I'm going to come back to that in a moment because a lot of you want to learn how to get wealthy and become a millionaire your way, not the way I'm going to teach you. And then we argue about it. I think I have a few clues. So you can tell I'm kind of in a serious little state about this right now. So fast forward, I flew to Oklahoma City, and I had been working on the Rich Dad Poor Dad brand. I was the master distributor of the cash flow game. And I had a bunch of database. I knew how to have a database. Bob Proctor had taught me that. Other mentors had taught me that. A lot of the folks that I was in The Secret with taught me that. We all had good databases. We were collaborating with each other on databases. We were doing a lot together. So I knew how to do those parts, but I didn't know how to really go buy, raise capital, and really arbitrage and get into real estate big. So we started with some little fourplexes, 16, 8s. We actually bought an entire street in Oklahoma City. We moved out to Norman, Oklahoma, and then we started getting bigger units. So within 6 months, as a collective team, raised $16 million, had bought tons of real estate, and I was a net worth millionaire by my 34th birthday in June in 1999. So that was my millionaire year. Had my son Logan, and again, I lived in Sausalito, California, and again, my mentor said, so how much is it going to cost to do this single mom thing that you're insistent about doing? And I said, don't know. He said, figure it out. And I said, well, to live where I want to live, do what I want, travel what I want, take him where I want, and have a nanny and have somebody to support and bring in a tribe, it's going to be about $40,000 a month. And he said, good, we'll go for 50 or 60. So then we started doing real estate tours, and we started bringing people around, showing what I just did, how quickly I became a millionaire. And I used all the history of my rich dad, poor dad connections. My point in telling you this story is it wasn't a crisis, but it was an incident. And see, in a lot of you wait for your incident to occur before it gets serious. And a lot of times it's too late. Now, I had a lot in place. But I had to sequence right, which is what I write about in The Millionaire Maker. It's probably my defining work. Do the right thing at the right time, you'll get rich faster. But if you don't do the right thing at the right time and you keep you in your head, and some of you have odd things that you talk about. And I'm going to speak to a few clients who are having some resistance right now saying, oh, I want my money back. I don't want to do what you say, Loral, because you're worried about debt. Are you kidding? The only reason you're in debt is because you overlived the amount of money you know how to make. So getting out of debt and recycling your debt is not the problem. Or it's not even the answer. Your answer is learn how to make more money so you can live the life you want, right? So you outlived your paychecks, put the rest of your life on a credit card, and here you are, $30,000, $40,000 of debt, not my problem. It's yours. You didn't learn how to make any money. It didn't come sooner. So now you're in a crisis. So I'll take your panic, but I'm going to transition your panic into creativity, into inspiration. Like, what do you want? If you can't answer the question, back to the bucket list, what do you want and why do you want it? Then it's tough to begin because we have to anchor to that. And for me, I was going to be an amazing mom. I was going to be an amazing single mom, and I was going to do it differently. I was going to be very engaged with my son. It was just he and I for almost 7 years. And his first little business was 4 years old. Like I was doing things most people had never mentored me to do. I just kind of knew intuitively. We set goals at 3 years old. We had businesses at 4 years old. Using money differently. We traveled around the world. We would have different bags of money from different countries. When money was just money, it was just something to buy things. The more things you wanted to buy, the bigger life you want, the more money you need to make. It was just a theme that we grew up with. See, a lot of you don't have any of that. You have a crisis going, and you have some old school thinking going, and it's why you can't get moving. So until you decide what you want and what you really want and why, and that you are going to make extra money, because I'm going to teach you to live corporate life. So you will have a business. That's kind of a non-negotiable if you want to get wealthy fast, because without a company, you can't use 81,000 pages of tax deductions here in the United States, 3,400 in Canada, 3,200 in Australia. I've traveled this principle of how to become wealthy fast all over the world. And I did mine in 6 months. I have people doing it in 12 months right now. I have 18-month millionaires. I have 24-month millionaires. Pretty easy to do it in 3 to 5 years. But again, let's go back to that incident. If you're going to wait for an incident and then call, then all of your emotional panic gets on top of strategy, which kind of bleeds that out and becomes a problem. So you need to know what you want, how you're going to serve, right? And can we please do it before an incident occurs, before someone gets sick, before someone dies, before something happens, where you start planning now because you want a long-term, better, fun life. You got to do what you want. You get a bucket list when you want. And I would tell all of you that say or have a thought process of I'm going to do all this later when I retire, bad idea, because you never know when your expiration date's up. I want you to live life on the journey. I took my kids all over. We spent money. We played. We went on safaris. We've done so many fun things around the world because we wanted to and we could, and so can you. So why are you sitting down and being in a coma when you need to get up and you need to get out and do something? And don't call me when it's urgent. I'm going to say call me anyway, but Here's what incidents look like. Let me tell you some stories just to keep you inspired about how critical this is. So I've had families literally call me with $1 million tax burden because they didn't set up their companies right. They had interesting CPAs, interesting financial planners, and they had $1 million tax burden selling their companies. So I had to delay the sale of their companies to use very high tax strategies. So I have a huge team around me of licensed professionals who kind of had to refix the company. And actually, instead of selling one company, it ended up being 6 companies and reduced the tax burden over $500,000. So because we have ninja amazing high-level strategists around our community, we can help you fix problems. Another gentleman came with a huge capital gains problem. Just recently, someone came with a crypto problem, right? Had about, again, $1 million tax problem. Did crypto in a completely wrong structure. The structure of how your money is formed will determine how wealthy you become and how fast. So if you are only going to the Secretary of State and doing LLC cheap, or going over to LegalZoom or one of those online platforms and not getting some real structured help, good luck. So a few other clients. You come because you are severely in debt. You have, again, a health issue. The 2 number 1 and 2 takedowns of wealth is an unplanned estate and an unplanned health incident that happens to somebody in your family. So I want to give you some tools and some options. So I want you to get a pen and paper and get out a checklist of things that you just don't know what you don't know. And I see it all the time. And when you say, I got to go think about working with you, Loral, or I got to go think about being with your team, you're thinking about an old school pattern. See, you know that you could, live within your box, you're only going to see what's in your box. Well, your box about knowledge about money is really small. Most people is. Like, where else would you learn it? So the problem when you say I'd go think about it is I'm going to tell you about, ready for the list? I'm going to tell you about LLCs. I'm going to tell you about trusts. I'm going to tell you about insurance. I'm going to tell you why you need to live corporate life. It's probably the biggest message I scream from the rooftops, why you live corporate life. Some of you are super successful employees and you're being taxed to pieces and you don't know that there's another way that you could still have those jobs, still do all of that, and pay less taxes. You don't know how to employ your children. You don't know how to buy real estate. You don't know how to buy alternative investments. You don't know how to live through a rock and roll stock market and crypto market that we're in right now. All these things are issues. And so why I built integrated wealth systems the way I did is I knew I would be the educator in the middle without a license, and I'm going to put a team of experts around. So I can just talk to you like this, common sense. I'm going to talk, we're going to educate, and then you're going to get these strategies from all these people. And then I'm going to be there teaching you how to implement it, how to do the paperwork, which is a really exciting part, how to pay bills differently. A lot of you have had a company before, but you never paid bills properly. So you have to do all these things in a very sequential order. So let's go to how do you get wealthy quickly? The Millionaire Maker. So if you just go down the table of contents, right? And I need you to read it in order. What is a wealth cycle? Where's a word I made up? It's how do you get the cycle and the pattern of your life to be from a lifestyle cycle to a wealth cycle, meaning income to assets. And just think about that for just a moment. Most of you spend more time worried about your liabilities and your monthly expenses than you spend, how do I create more money and where do I invest it? You spend so much time on the wrong pattern, I call it your lifestyle cycle, instead of living in a wealth cycle. So just this week, for some homework, I want you to track your time on how many times your mind goes, your behavior goes to, I'm in debt, I have all these liabilities, I have this huge monthly overhead, blah, 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 and you just worry about that. Versus get creative energy, lean in and say, how can we make more money? What could I do? Every 3 weeks, I do a millionaire intensive and a marketplace. So you can come make money in our organization every 3 weeks. The only reason you don't, you're busy. So again, what's your why? If you don't have that big why, you're not going to get motivated to show up every 3 weeks to make money, right? You're going to get wandered off and go Netflix or Hulu binge, or I don't know what you do. Just hang out on TikTok doing nothing. I mean, when I hang out on TikTok, well, first of all, I don't. My team is on TikTok for business, period. That's why we're there. See, a lot of you don't value your time, especially women, and you do these random activities. So think about, just for the next week, how much time you spend doing what. So again, back to that gift and talent, that's what we need to lean into. How can we make more money with what you already know how to do? because you're all brilliant at something. You just haven't decided you want to do it. And how fast you get wealthy is how fast you lean in and decide, I want that life and I'm going for it. So the next chapter is a gap analysis, right? So in chapter 2, I want you to really get clear, where are you? Where's your baseline? And what's your freedom day? Now, I don't call it retirement because retirement's an agricultural word that means to put cattle to pasture to die. You're not a cow, you're not going to die. And you don't have to get wealthy when you're 60 and live when you're 60. I mean, most of you will have health injuries by then and you can't do all the fun things, right? I mean, I know this next spring I'm going to take my daughter wants to go back to Europe skiing. We're going skiing in Europe. Well, I can still ski in the places she wants to ski because she is intense. So we're going to go play. And I want you to go to play. But guess what? You got to go make the money to do it. So again, what's your big why? What's your bucket list? What do you want? What's the thing you can lean into so you can start creating the income to have what you want? And understand your gap. Where are you and what do you want? And in our gap, and you'll read that as you go get the book, right? The Millionaire Maker, is we're only going to focus on income and assets. How do you make more money and where are you investing your money? Because that's the millionaire strategy. I call that the wealth cycle. So I want all your attention. Money, muscles, conditioning. I want to strengthen your wealth cycle. How do you make it? How do you invest it? How do you make it? How do you invest it? That's all I want you thinking about, right? Money comes easily and frequently. I said it in The Secret. And I want you to atrophy your concern with debt. I need you to atrophy your concern with liabilities. The back page, which we'll get to way later, I'll just let you get to it yourself, page 194, is how you deal with the bad debt. And again, the only reason you have bad debt is because you outlived your ability to make money. So what's the really core root of solving the problem? Make money. Learn to make more money. And yes, I know you have debt. That's not your problem. The more you give it energy, the more it's going to stay around. Now, once you understand your gap analysis, then we go to the sequencing. So there's building blocks of becoming wealthy. And the reason I surrounded myself with all these experts is because you need them all. You need them all. I can promise you can find them all independently out on the internet. That'll be fabulous for you because guess what? You still don't know enough about money. I do, and that's my job, is to mentor, coach, and advocate with you. I'm going to stand by you and help you put these people together in a plan. Because right now, your financial planner probably doesn't talk to your real estate agent or broker. They probably don't talk to your insurance agent. They probably don't talk to your banker, who should be on the team. They don't talk to your trust lawyer. They don't talk to your corporate compliance person. And you don't know how to do any deductions or even pay bills right, which is what I call forecasting. So my job is the glue. It's the implementation to help you with these huge strategies. You need them all. You need these experts in their strategies, but you go find them independently. Get them on a phone call together. That'll be interesting. Most of them will not get on a call together. So our team was formed saying we're going to work on behalf of the client. We're going to advocate for the client and their well-being and their benefit. So that's what we do and what we do so differently. So my job is to coach, mentor you to move and grow and learn and understand. So I'm not going to do it for you. You're going to do it, which means you have the tools. So if we ever, walked away from each other, you have enough tools to continue to be wealthy, to do what you want, to make decisions, to understand P&Ls, balance sheets, PPMs, understand it all. Right now, most of you don't even know half of those words I just said. So again, what you don't know, you don't know. And what's fascinating is how many successful employees there are in the world that don't know even how to be in a company, why having a company is important. Most of you haven't heard the words LLC, S Corp, C Corp, limited partnership, or a trust. That's how we roll. That's how wealthy. You want to get wealthy fast, you make money inside your company because it has the legal right to do deductions. And then you can continue to live. And at all times, you do one thing. You make money and you invest it. You make it, invest it. You get that pattern for you and your children. It does not take long to be wealthy. So the topic is, how long does it take to get wealthy? It depends on you. Depends on how much you lean in, how quickly you can make decisions. Some of you linger on forever about everything. You live a very indecisive life. Successful people live very decisive lives. We're extremely self-driven. And here's the thing, I'm going to knock this one out right away. You say, well, I'm not money-driven. Well, you want things. You need to buy things. You need to eat. So then I don't even care if the smallest amount. You've got to have money-driven. You've got to figure out how to pay for it. So I want to re-rack your thinking. I need you to go to my YouTube channel. I need you to subscribe and click the notification button and be here every day, 5 days a week, until some button clicks and you say, dang, I'm going to join Loral. So sequencing is where your goal is going to be. I can tell you that. And then the rest of the book, I talk about asset allocation, alternative investing, cash machine, how to get your business up, how to get your entities and your trusts in order, how to forecast, which is how to spend your money. You're not going to budget in my world. How to put it all together, how to handle debt, By the way, a lot of you are going to get into good debt. How to really manage your baseline and your freedom day at a level that most of you don't know how. So if you want to become a millionaire, you have to have a millionaire mentor. Let me talk about mentoring and coaching. Coaching is someone who's going to guide and kind of navigate you along and hold you accountable. That's not what a mentor does. I'm a mentor, which means I have walked a path long probably before most of you. Now, I have multimillionaires coming into our community on a regular basis. Why? Because they want a place to have a conversation. They want to be with people like the 5 people that you're surrounded with. Where do they find the people that talk about deals, structure, trust, your family conversation? Where do you get to have this conversation about money? It doesn't exist, not in a really rich way. So we have a conversation about money multiple times throughout the week, and we guide you through the millionaire path and just recent book on how to make your kids millionaires. There's a whole checklist on exactly the things you need to do from 0 to 20 to help your kids get on the right path. If you really want to join me in mentoring, here's the questions and the checklist that we have. And we ask you just to go through this. Number 1, if you're not a millionaire, you need to be in our community at the big table. That's our millionaire path. Again, your baseline, your freedom days, are they complete? Do you have a business plan? You say, well, I don't even thought about a business. Well, then we'll go back to my cash machine book and put more cash, and we'll get you, give you some ideas, and then you're going to create a business plan so you stay on track in creating revenues. Entities and trusts have to be current. Your contracts up to date. You say, well, I don't have any contracts. Notice these are things millionaires talk about. So if some of these things are like, this doesn't apply to me, I'm going to say lean in and it should apply to you, because this is what millionaires do. This is what we talk about. We talk about our trust. We talk about having revocable, irrevocable trusts, how to do legacy, how to have that value set in your family that your kids want to sustain the money and just don't blow it when you pass away. That there's actually an organized plan that when you pass, you're all going to have an expiration date. So you can leave the surprise basket and leave the mess to your kids to fight about, or you can be in a very organized fashion and train and teach them through your lifetime, which is what I'm doing with my kids, and highly encourage you to start it with your kids. You say, well, how do I begin? YouTube channel, 5 days a week. What's the lesson you can learn every day? How do we implement another lesson, and then another lesson, and then another lesson, and just start. That's the biggest piece. You got to begin, and how fast it's going to take you to have wealth, whatever wealth means to you. Even 100,000 now, you're going to be in a better position, right? Do you know that a will is not going to make it through probate? Right? If you have, some people literally will say, I have a will and it's good enough. No, it's not. You will go to probate, which means 40 to 50% of everything you did. So say it's just 100,000 you're passing on. Why would you give 40 to 50,000 of that to the state versus the loved ones that you actually care about, or a charity that you care about? To me, that's irresponsible. Oh, come on. Would you let me teach you? Do you have an investment plan? Right? Like right now, I have a lot of business stuff. A lot of things. So as my son's 23 and looking at what we have, and my daughter's going to be 16, he's like, Mom, you have a lot of stuff. I said, I know. He said, but we can reorganize it and make it so it's more manageable, and the things that I'm going to probably do till the day I pass away, and then you're going to figure out what you want to do to continue it. And I can tell you the overarching piece of all of this is you have to have a team. Most of you are trying to do this all by yourself. You don't know how. One of the biggest mistakes I see people making, and I'm going to speak specifically to a few Instagram and TikTokers who are out there going, 35,000 is not worth it to go to be a millionaire. Well, good luck. I can guarantee you're going to make $35,000 in mistakes. You're going to make mistakes. You're not going to get my Rolodex. You're not going to have all my ninja strategies that get you and weave you through faster. And most of you, if you actually follow all of our tax team strategies, will make $35,000 back in taxes your first year or two, because you're doing it wrong. And if you're just a solo person, you can come for half of that, $17,500. So I don't say those prices like I'm stressed about them. Notice I have no tension about them. I think we do a high value offer for you to help you become a millionaire and get wealthy quick. Which is 3 to 5 years. If you want to be safe and stable, go follow Dave Ramsey and Susie Orman. They do an amazing job at that. That is not what we're doing. We are doing this. So how many of you want to be wealthy? Right? So put it in the chat as we continue along. If you'd like to have a strategy session or talk to somebody on our team, go to askloral.com, put in your information, say, hey, I want to talk to somebody. I really want to follow along. If you want to start just at the baby level, $17 a month. You can ask me a question at any time, 24 hours a day. And 2 times a month, we come live and we answer them. A few other things. I want you just to really watch your need to be alone. Like your need to do this by yourself, I call it the most fabulous game of self-sabotage. It takes a team to do this. So I don't believe in self-made millionaires. I believe in team-made millionaires. And everyone I know that's been a millionaire or multimillionaire has had a mentor. Somebody's walked the path before them, has made mistakes for them already. They've navigated all sorts of times. I think I have helped navigate now through 8 or 9 economic impacts. Like right now we're in a recession. We're going to walk through this one. We walked through 8, 9, and 10. We've walked through all sorts of downturns. We walked through the pandemic. We've helped so many people sustain their millionaire status by staying together and connecting together. You have financial family here, and you can do whatever you want out there. But I can tell you, I want you to lean in. I want you to take this seriously. How fast you become wealthy is really up to you. But it is your choice, and it's your game. I would say live decisively, live successfully, model this for your kids. If you don't have any, you should get some of their tax deductible. And at any time, I'm available to talk to you. Go to askloral.com, put in any question, any requests that you have, and we are here to serve you and help you. And if you have any issues that are going on out there, call into our office. Let us solve them. Here to help and here to help you make how long your path to being wealthy and a millionaire, up to you. Our job is to shorten it.
Thanks for listening to the Real Money Talks podcast. Your host has been Loral Langemeier, author of 5 New York Times bestsellers, money expert on Dr. Phil, CNN, CNBC, The Street TV, Fox News, and The View. Want to learn more about off-Wall Street investing, tax strategies, and multi-million-dollar business strategies? Visit liveoutloud.com/podcast for past episodes, show notes, and resources. For some special wealth-building gifts only for Loral's podcast listeners, visit liveoutloud.com/podcast gifts. Do you have a burning question for Loral? Visit askloral.com to submit your question, and it may just be covered on a podcast episode. So stay tuned and be sure to subscribe to get new episodes every week.